I am Julius Caesar, bald, valiant, notorious for romances, and surrounded by a pack of fools in the Senate. If you stopped me on the streets of Rome in 44 BC, you would see a sharp-eyed man in his 50s with a completely shiny bald head. People around me either bowed to me, kept their distance, while others, precisely 60 men, were secretly plotting to stab me to death. I found out about the plot eventually, yet it was already too late. Do not rush to pity me. I have lived a fulfilling life, no less splendid than Alexander the Great. He died at 33, while I lived to be 56. Though he conquered Persia and parts of India, I subdued Gaul, Egypt, Asia Minor, and Numidia. What's more, I am a writer. He relied on Callisthenes to sing his praises, whereas I personally penned the Gallic Wars in the third person, portraying myself almost as a deity. Frankly speaking, I even toned down my greatness in those pages. Let me start with my appearance. I have been bald since early adulthood. I tried every remedy, combing hair sideways to cover the scalp, wearing laurel wreaths to hide the baldness, and even petitioned the Senate for permanent permission to don the wreath. My request was approved. It proved Romans did have a sense of humor. Later, I pushed through a formal bill, allowing me to wear the wreath in public at all times, not to flaunt my military feats, but simply to spare everyone the sight of my receding hairline. I know better than anyone. You may lose battles or gamble away your fortune, but never let others lay eyes on your bald crown. I was born into privilege, belonging to the noble Julian clan, who claimed descent from Aeneas, son of the goddess Venus. In short, I am of divine lineage. It sounds imposing, yet half the Roman aristocracy traced their bloodline back to some deity, and the rest boasted intimate ties with gods. End quote. To stand out amid such vanity, one must possess real talent. In my youth, Rome was engulfed in political turmoil. Sulla won the civil war and seized dictatorial power, executing all his opponents, including my father-in-law Cinna. He ordered me to divorce Cinna's daughter, and I refused outright. Enraged, he issued a warrant for my arrest. I fled, even disguising myself as a woman and hiding in the Sabine Mountains. It sounds ridiculous now, yet it was a matter of life and death back then. Sulla finally pardoned me, but he left a prophecy. This young man will bring ruin to the noble faction. He spoke the truth. Little did he know, the nobles deserved their downfall. Those stubborn old conservatives, clinging to ancestral privileges and rejecting reform, were destined to be swept into the Tiber River. Later, I traveled east, staying in Miletus and then Bithynia for months, where my scandalous repute first took root. I resided in the palace of young King Nicomedes of Bithynia, and we got along well. Upon my return to Rome, political rivals spread vicious rumors about our relationship, mocking me as the Queen of Bithynia. I have long learned a truth. The more you deny slander, the fiercer the gossip grows. The wisest choice is to stay silent, though it gnaws at your heart. Once, during a Senate speech, a man named Dolabella taunted me openly, and the whole chamber burst into laughter. I held my temper in public, yet back home I drained 3 jars of wine and smashed a vase in fury. Were I Alexander, I would have dragged that insolent man away to be devoured by beasts. But Rome was not Macedon. One must abide by political rules and restraint. At 25, I studied rhetoric under the renowned scholar Apollonius in Rhodes. On my voyage home, I was captured by pirates. When they demanded my ransom, I first said 20 talents, then voluntarily raised it to 50, claiming I was worth far more. The pirates were amused, never having seen a hostage inflate his own ransom. For 38 days in their custody, I composed poems, delivered speeches, and kept fit, jesting that, once freed, I would crucify every last one of them. They all dismissed my words as empty boasts. I kept my promise. After being ransomed, I swiftly assembled a fleet, hunted down the pirates, and captured them all. I slit their throats personally. Out of slight mercy for their decent treatment of me, I ended their lives before nailing them to crosses to spare them prolonged agony. Romans hailed this deed as heroic, yet to me it was merely common sense. A man must keep his word. I became a quaestor at 31 and Pontifex Maximus at 37. Many doubted my competence for the sacred post, arguing I was only fit for warfare, not religious affairs. I retorted that wisdom was what pleased the gods, not endless incense burning from foolish fools. I poured massive personal funds into urban construction, gladiatorial games, and public plazas. The common people praised my generosity, yet it was nothing but political investment. Winning popular support laid solid foundations for my power, something the arrogant Senate elites could never fathom. They viewed commoners as insignificant insects, unaware they themselves were the ones on the verge of collapse. In 60 BC, 61-year-old Crassus, 46-year-old Pompey, and I formed the secret First Triumvirate. Crassus held wealth, Pompey commanded legions, and I possessed wit and strategy. It was an impeccable alliance, save for mutual distrust. Pompey envied my military achievements in Spain. Crassus coveted Pompey's fame, and I envied them both for still having full heads of hair. Still, politics is all about cooperating with those you dislike to defeat greater enemies. In 58 BC, I set foot in Gaul, the pinnacle of my life. Over 9 years, I conquered the entire land, covering modern-day France, Belgium, and Switzerland. I fought more than 30 major campaigns, subdued over 300 tribes, slain 1 million foes, and captured another 1 million. Warfare is just like business. One must calculate gains and losses. Every rebellion suppressed weakened the rebels further, until they finally realized resistance was futile. The toughest battle was the Siege of Alesia in 52 BC. Chieftain Vercingetorix entrenched 80,000 men inside the fortress. I built a circumvallation to trap him, then constructed a second outer rampart to block incoming Gallic reinforcements, leaving my army sandwiched between 2 enemy forces. Fierce assaults came from both inside and outside the double fortifications that night. I galloped back and forth between the walls, shouting orders until my voice grew hoarse, my helmet battered and askew. Yet my legions were the finest soldiers across the globe. Roman warriors never questioned victory. They only asked where to charge. We claimed final victory. Vercingetorix surrendered, laying down his arms before me. Staring at this tall, red-haired Gallic hero, I could not help but think we might have been friends, had fate placed him in Rome instead of Gaul.